Hello and welcome to the Weekly Reel podcast. My name is Ken,
And my name is Jeremy.
and this week we learn that the greater the spy, the bigger the lie in the 2024 spy movie Argylle. But before we get into Argylle, we have a live audience here on YouTube, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, YouTube Live, one of our first YouTube Lives so far. You can actually go check out last week's episode of our live stream, Madam Web. But hey, guys, everyone that's listening or watching live, we're now having video, so it's good all to see you. Definitely comment and all that stuff. We
Yes.
are here, and let us know all your thoughts on Argyle. Once we start like tossing questions to each other and stuff, feel free to answer them. And I want to see how clever you guys are too.
Yeah, I mean, we'll always have some opportunities throughout the episode just to chime in, especially since especially if there's some good comments or questions out there, and so we have faith in you guys tonight. And so, Jeremy, I mean, we got a lot to cover today, so let's get right into the movie. So let's go ahead and issue that spoiler warning. So if you do not want to get spoiled, you know what, like maybe join us I guess on the episode that we do post on YouTube on Monday. So check us out, subscribe on the YouTube channel. But if you're okay with spoilers, we're issuing that spoiler warning. We are going to talk specifics about Argylle 2024. And so, Jeremy, this week we meet a writer who has a knack for writing a popular best-selling novel series that is so good that one might question the methods of her research in the 2024 spy movie Argylle, which is out now in theaters. And so, Jeremy, let's get right into the double feature. Again, as a reminder for those who are checking this out for the first time, the double feature is a way that me and Jeremy thought of where we could just create an open dialogue. And so I have a question that Jeremy doesn't know what I'm going to ask, and vice versa. I don't know what he's going to ask. I think I got that right. Anyway,
Pretty sure.
that was a mouthful. But for my half of the double feature, obviously Argylle. I mean, we're still in the month of February 2024, barely. And this movie did come out right at the beginning of this month. So usually with February movie releases, they are very hit or miss.
For sure.
More misses than hits. I don't think that's very controversial to say, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully that changes in the future.
I know exactly. But so for my half of the double feature, Jeremy, my question to you is: was Argylle more of a surprise, like in a good way,
hmm
or was it more of a disappointment?
Okay, loaded question already. I'm gonna go with overall, it was a disappointment for me.
Oh, wah, wah,
I
wah.
know, man. Because the trailer, when I saw the first trailer of this movie, I think it was like the only trailer. I don't know. I was like, dude, this movie looks so good. And the editing, the style of Matthew Vaughn, the Henry Cavill's in it with some weird hair. John Cena's there, even though you can't see him. Like, just all this stuff. And I guess the thing that made me most wary about this movie was that, oh, it's not really Argyle like in the book or whatever, Henry Cavill, but we're following the writer. I'm like, okay, we'll see how that goes. If anything, it's Matthew Vaughn, so we'll see what happens. And there was definitely a lot of stuff happening in this movie, and not a lot. I mean, there was things that connected. I'm gonna just say it right here. They reference, or it's literally set in the Kingsman universe that Matthew Vaughn created, and I was like, should it be? Like, it's like, oh, I'm pretty okay with it. I think for the most part, I had high hopes for this movie, like really high hopes. I thought I was gonna reach first Kingsman level. Did you
Okay.
watch the second Kingsman, by the way?
I never got around to it. I that was the plan actually. This past weekend because I had a couple days off, from work. I mean, not for the podcast, but just in general that it was planned. But I think I was out and about too much, and yeah, I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, yeah. See, look, Sean Tierra said Henry Cavill's hair was divine. See, I agree. I needed more of that. I needed more Henry Cavill in his weird Yu Yu Hakusho like suit. So, and with that hair, so I needed more of that. But
Yeah, it was weird, especially in the beginning, the opening, the opener with Dua Lipa, and I was like, oh, he's got a widow's peak. I didn't know he had a widow's peak, and he had this weird like froey, like almost spiky, but not
flat
really spiky,
toppy,
flat toppy hair.
yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
See, I don't know. I want to see a movie just set in. I guess that was Rachel. Rachel?
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean her name's
Rachel,
Rachel.
why'd you say
Ellie
her name?
Conway, right?
Yeah, yeah, Ellie
Rachel
Conway.
Kyle.
Yeah,
Uh, talking about that plot twist a little bit later,
yeah.
but overall, I still liked it,
Hmm.
just not as much as I was hoping.
Okay. I completely agree with you. I came in, I think, with unfair expectations. Not really unfair expectations in that I feel like the trailer did a good job in getting me hyped for the movie. I think the trailer set me up for failure. It basically catfished me in
Hmm.
that into thinking it's like, oh, are we getting a surprise February hit? But I guess by the time I finished this movie, I was like, oh, that's why this movie got released in February, because I thought it started off really strong. I was invested. It was pretty lighthearted. I actually do enjoy Justin Hammer. I mean, Wilde's character, played by Sam
Sam
Rockwell.
Rockwell,
Yeah,
yeah,
Sam Rock.
Eden Wild. That is,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I don't know. Like, I'm very convinced that he wants dancing parts in all of his movies because even in Iron Man 2 when he was
yeah.
doing his version of the Stark Expo or whatever, and in this movie he had multiple opportunities to dance even when he was stomping. It looked like a dance move. So I guess I'm going to be expecting that from every Sam Rockwell movie moving forward. um but yeah, I mean, there was some good parts of this movie. For honestly, for most of this movie, for about 2/3 of the movie, I was invested. I was like, yeah,
I
this is actually
agree.
pretty good. There was a lot of intrigue. There was good pacing. I think the cast was great. I mean, they have a lot of name faces. They got Bryan Cranston, obviously well known for Malcolm in the Middle and Breaking Bad. They got Henry Cavill, Superman. They got I mean, we talked about Sam Rockwell, but we also have oh my goodness, who's Argyle? I mean Arkyle. I mean
Argyle. Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard. Yes.
Yes.
And then we even got Dua Lipa in the beginning. Jeez. I mean, this was pretty star-studded, I guess, um and then the wheels fell off. And
Yeah, yeah.
so and it was in a way where it was just like a car crash. It went from climbing up that hill and then it just, I don't know, just decided to just break down midway through the drop and didn't deliver.
This isn't my double feature question, but do
Uh,
you remember what certain part of the movie just like was that cut off for you?
yes, when they went on that mission to Arabia, when they were trying to access the, what was that thing that they were looking for? The master key.
Oh, okay. And then just the from then on.
Hmm. The
Okay.
rest of the movies just sucked. Like, it was Madam Web levels of bad.
Oh, really? No
Yeah,
way. That's
I
pretty
I thought
bad.
I
Damn.
thought it was pretty bad for the last third of the movie.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, it
no
was pretty bad.
spoilers for Madam Web. That was last week's episode, but yeah, that is pretty low. Shoot.
I'll explain the breakdown when I get to my real review later.
Okay, okay. Because my half of the double feature kind of relates to that in terms of the tipping point of this movie. I want to ask you, what was your favorite and least favorite surprise twist?
My favorite
Yes.
was probably, oddly enough, ironically, it was in the latter third of the movie that I hated. It was the Winter Soldier reference at the end where freaking the mom
Oh,
from Home Alone was just saying random words similar to what in Civil War, where they're like
yeah.
calendar. I don't know what the words were. I don't remember specifics about
Yeah,
this
and
movie,
she was
but
holding the little
the
ballerina.
ballerina snow globe, or the ice skater,
Oh,
the
yeah, you're right. That
yeah,
thing
the
that
figure skater. Sorry.
figure skater that turns around on the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny. That was actually the only point values that I attributed to the latter third of the movie.
That's just because it was part of a better movie, man.
Yeah, it pretty much, it was all for the wrong reasons.
That's
It
true.
it
Because
in itself, it was just a horrible plot twist or whatever. And it was so bad, like the how it ended. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean
no,
to cut
yeah,
you off.
it was totally like not earned in that moment compared to in Captain America: Winter Soldier. Then instead of beating up Sam Rockwell and beating up Captain America, I'm with you till the end of the line.
Oh,
Line could have
it
could have
was
happened
the
there.
antithesis of that. But
Sean Tierra, by the way, said it was so much better than Matrash Webe.
mattrash web.
Matras Webby. Yes.
Yeah,
I
but
think a lot of movies are better than
I think all movies are better than Madam Web.
at least all, especially all movies that we've covered so far on here on this podcast. I think that's a easy win for everybody else.
Yeah, we're what, on episode 112. We used to cover some episodes 2 or 3 movies on a given episode. Yeah, I think we've covered 119, 120 more better movies than Madam Web for sure.
Should I let you know my favorite and then I'll ask you your least, or do you want to
Oh
say your
yeah,
least
sure.
first?
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
Ooh, okay. My favorite, I like the I guess it's when what's his name, Bryan Cranston's character was supposedly her dad. I was
Ooh,
like, wow, I'm getting very much Spider-Man Homecoming vibes.
yeah, yeah.
Michael Keaton is the Vulture, and it's like, oh, that's my dad. And then turns out, I actually like the plot twist again when it flips on itself a second time, where it's like, oh, that's not his dad or her dad.
Hmm, hmm.
Um, it's just like he brainwashed her to be her dad. There's so many plot twists in this movie. I'm getting everything
Yeah,
mixed up. But
yeah.
yeah, that was probably my favorite one,
It was definitely convoluted. There was a lot going on.
especially towards
Um,
there at the end. Holy crap!
yeah, I mean, for the most part, I was following all the twists because I felt like the twists were rolled out in a good pace, I guess, for the first 2/3 of the movie. But when they were just kind of went one right after the other unnecessarily, um, yeah, that's where they lost me. I mean,
Yeah,
not that I got lost in trying to figure out what was going on. It was just like, are you serious? Let's just stick to one plot twist and just move forward and just end the movie like with a something focused. I don't know.
yeah. So what was your least favorite plot twist?
Oh, before I give away my least favorite, just to add to your point,
Mm-hmm.
when Bryan Cranston revealed that the reveal was her, she was, or no, he was her dad. Dude, he totally went into Walter White mode,
Oh
like where he
yeah,
was kind of bumbling and stuff. And I
yeah,
was like, oh my goodness, he's such a good actor. When I guess minutes before that, when they showed that kind of cutaway when he blew away that one henchman with the shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the name, Clementine, or I forgot. Whoever is a huge Argyle fan,
Yeah.
fact check me on that. But yeah, it was a shotgun, but I like how he goes from 0 to 100, from Walter White to Heisenberg characters, and he still does that so effortlessly. It brought back memories. I kind of want to do another Breaking Bad rewatch for the 30 millionth time.
Yeah, he was definitely a shining spot in terms of the cast. Obviously, everyone was good, but yeah, for me, he was probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
I mean, I like
For
Sam Rockwell too, though.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like Sam Rockwell was pretty likable throughout the movie, especially, like in the beginning. He was able to play some kind of like hobo looking thing with the long hair, and then
Yeah.
he cleaned up or whatever. And so, they were trying to drop breadcrumbs. It's like, okay, well, how should we feel about this guy? Is he going to betray Ellie or not? So,
Okay.
but to answer your question, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
the my least favorite twist was the twist that um I don't know if this is a twist, but the fact that it just came out of nowhere, where she just remembered that she's an ice skater, because I didn't think that it had any.
Yeah.
It really didn't make a difference. It was just, I guess they used that as a plot device for her memories, I guess, but they just used that for some weird computer generated oil looking ice oil skating scene, which was completely awful. It was probably the absolute worst scene, arguably,
I think
along
so.
with the dance scene. Both were pretty bad.
Really?
I hated the dance scene.
Okay, I'm gonna say it right here. I like the dance scene just because I think in that third of the movie where it's just horrible, I was like, okay, this is the most wacky thing that's pretty decent in this last third of the movie compared to. I did not like the oil scene, especially when she started like makeshifting like her own ice
Skates.
skates and stuff, and it totally reminded of another movie that we mentioned last week, Batman and Robin.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that.
And all of a sudden, if you watch Batman and Robin, they clank their shoes together. All of a sudden, they have ice skates and they're able to fight Mr. Freeze. That's exactly what it reminded me of in this movie. And I agree that plot twist is because you would think maybe like Jason Bourne esque. It's like, oh, it's kind of just coming back naturally, but all of a sudden she just like, it's not even ice. I don't understand this movie. Yeah,
That oil looked really awful. It was
yeah.
like, what was this, made in the 80s? I don't know. It just didn't look realistic. They just colored black liquid. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It was just bad. When people watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about.
And I was, I guess I don't know, to kind of slight tangent. I don't know. Bryce Dallas Howard. I was flip flopping whether or not it's like, does she? Am I convinced that she was once a like special agent? I was like, yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, by the end, I was like, I can't. That's spoiler alert. That's my least favorite was when she was revealed to be Argyle.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's
I
yeah,
think it would have been more believable if it was more than 5 years. 5
yeah.
years, I think, is still too recent for thing, because I don't know. To your point, it was not the. I think the reason why I hated the last third of the movie, basically the spy stuff at the end, was because she was not believable as a spy the entire time. Oh, I think you're
Sorry.
muted.
Well, once that was revealed,
Yeah.
um, that basically like I didn't buy the rest of the movie. Exactly what you said, just because she wasn't believable. Because I think maybe I don't know if it's I was so like tied to her being that novelist, the author,
Hmm.
and then her switching into a special agent, it felt really weird. I didn't, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just bad. But I guess my question is I question I guess that I can probably you know what, I'll leave this for the next segment actually. Was there anything else on this for this segment under the double feature that you wanted to kind of add before we move on to the next segment?
No, I think that's it from off the top of my head. Like, we watched this movie a couple of weeks ago now.
Yeah.
It's like Madam Web. As the days go on, I'm
You
slowly starting to
stuff.
forget it. Just it was slower with Argyle, and that means it was better than Madam Web, but it is slowly starting to fade now.
Yeah. Well, let's get right into the next part of the episode. We're debuting a brand new segment. We're calling it The Dailies. And when I was pitching this idea to Jeremy, I was like, wait, what are the dailies in film talk? Well, in the film industry, it's basically where it's kind of like raw, uncut footage. And I figured this was like a good way to kind of segue into some random thoughts because they're kind of more raw. They, it's more free flowing. We're just gonna just start going off the top of our dome. And so, I mean, I kind of referenced it in the last segment about like a question, I guess unanswered questions for me at the end. And only because I've only seen the one movie, and I don't know if you did any of the research, but at the end we get a mulleted. Well, he kind of looked like Kenny Powers from behind. But we got Henry Cavill playing Argyle in real life, I think, at the book signing
Mm-hmm.
right before the stinger. Um, I thought he was just a figment of her imagination, meaning Ellie, and I thought Argyle was Arkyle, and so I was confused at the end.
Yeah, I think he was just like a guy. I don't think he was actually like a guy named Argyle.
Okay.
But what made me more confused was the post, or I guess mid credit scene. I don't know,
Yeah.
where we go back in time. We're in the King's Man bar or whatever, and there's the family called like the guy's name is Argyle. So I was so confused. I was like, "What?" It's like I thought that was just like a repressed memory of hers, right? Like she's
Yeah.
Argyle, and then we flash back
20
to
years.
to whatever. There's a person with the name Argyle, and then there's also Henry Cavill with the mullet that I don't think has the name Argyle, and it's just Henry Cavill with a like Southern accent.
I made the connection only because they kind of look similar. The flashback in the mid-credits scene of the
Mm-hmm.
guy kind of looked like they wanted to cast him similarly looking, a younger version, obviously a smaller version of Henry Cavill of unnamed character that may or may not be Argyle, since that's who he was technically playing in this movie.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That was I don't know how I felt about that. You have to choose one of the other, you know what I mean? It's like those two kind of stinger like
Yeah.
moments. You have to choose one of them, not both.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I was kind of confused. Maybe it'll make more sense if I end up watching the rest of the Kingsman universe movies, the other two, the Golden Circle and the King's Man.
Yeah, and then yeah, I guess those are the only two, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because I think if I'm not mistaken, you only seen the first one. Oh no, you watched both.
I watched the second one, but I
Secret
haven't seen the
Service.
King's Man.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're just missing the King's Man. Okay, so you
Yes.
watch Secret Service and the Golden Circle.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Um, do you have any dailies that you would like to share?
Oh crap! I remember it off the top of my head. Shoot, I how'd you feel about the train's action sequence when she was like seeing Henry Cavill like in and out, and then Sam Rockwell, Eden. Because
Wild.
at first I was
Yeah.
like, when seeing that choreography in the trailers, I was like, oh, this movie looks pretty sick. But then in the movie, it was like more cut up, obviously,
Yeah, yeah.
because of the stuff that they added, and that kind of like ruined the action sequence a little bit for me. It was still pretty good and kind of
Mhm.
funny, but they kept doing it. And I was like, oh no, I don't like that.
I actually enjoyed that part of it because was watching the movie from Ellie's point of view. Sean just referenced well, I'll go ahead and read it. I'll be real, too much blinking in the movie, and I do agree with that. A lot of blinking transitions, which he also just added. Um, but in the beginning of the movie, we hadn't gotten to that point where there was too many. So I was actually at the time still in the character, and I actually enjoyed it for what it was because you got to remember they haven't revealed the whole agent reveal yet, and so I'm looking at it from her point of view as an author, a random author with who has a relationship with her work and her cat Alfie. And you're just randomly seeing a lot of snapshots of what she has written, that and what is actually happening. And so it kind of makes you wonder what you're actually experiencing, where it just the lines become blurred, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that I saw like the stylistic choice,
Mhm.
but there were some moments, like Sean said, the blinking transitions were a bit much.
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
Mentioned the Batman Robin ice skating. Anything else kind of stand out? I want another Kingsman movie. Even like I'm not gonna spoil it yet, but um, I'd rather have another Kingsman movie.
Like within like after the Golden Circle,
Yeah,
that
following
timeline.
Eggsy.
Okay. I mean, I enjoyed the first one. You said the second one is not as good, but still good.
Yeah,
I'm still going to go ahead and watch them. I don't think they're streaming anywhere, so I'd have to make the investment in renting it somewhere. So, I think that was also a determining factor of what I should watch too. So,
see,
um,
like you rewatched Dune this a couple days ago or today,
yeah,
and I was surprised. I was like, ah, but he hasn't seen Golden Circle. I think I
yeah.
like Golden Circle more. I'm just kidding.
Hey,
I'm
you
just gonna
watched
keep
your match.
trashing this movie until
Yeah.
Dune Part 2 and be like, hey guys, I'm back. I actually loved Dune Part 1.
Yeah. Doom Part 1, I was reminded, cuz it is a one of those movies that does a lot of heavy lifting. And we'll get into it next week, but
Yeah, for sure.
I forget how detailed and how good the first one is, even though it's not necessarily a rewatchable movie or the most rewatchable movie for myself. I think we were talking about how, well, this was the first screening that I had since we actually talked about it on the podcast a couple years ago. So that tells you how much I've rewatched it. So I hadn't.
None. Yeah, you hadn't.
Exactly.
Just like
But
me.
we'll get into that next Wednesday on our live stream. And so if there's nothing else as far as more dailies, let's get right into another brand new segment. We introduced it last week. We call it the real review. So Jeremy, go ahead and give your real review for Argylle 2024.
Okay, Argyle. No spoilers. I think Argyle was a decent enough like action flick if you don't think too hard. I have to say, this is my least favorite Matthew Vaughn movie that I've seen because obviously I haven't seen The Kingsman. I don't even know if it was directed by him. I don't remember. But Argyle, it's not horrible because Kingsman had like many homages to like uh, spy movies of the past and all that stuff, and added that Matthew Vaughn flair. But I think Argyle takes it a step a little too far a little too wacky sometimes. Um, it kind of ruins the characters that are introduced in it. So if we see these characters again in a different movie, maybe they can be redeemed. But overall, I'm gonna say it's an okay watch. The like you said, Ken, before the third act definitely lets it down. So I'm giving Argyle a 1560 out of 3,000. That's about 52%.
Interesting. We're very similar in how how we're gonna do this. Oh man. Okay. Well, for my real review, Argyle had me on the edge of my seat for about the first 2/3 of the movie. I mean, I've talked about it throughout this episode. For most of the movie, I was thoroughly entertained by a fun popcorn flick. Then Ellie Conway arrived in Arabia on a mission as Agent R. Kyle, aka Rachel Kyle, and then the wheels fell off. Agent R. Kyle was not believable as an agent that, through twists and turns, was an agent for the division. They managed to turn Walter White, Director Ritter, into just another villain, even though Bryan Cranston showed nuanced signs of what made Heisenberg such a feared drug lord in Breaking Bad. In the end, the nonsensical dance number, and even worse, the oil skating scene, were too awful to ignore. Although I think this movie will do really well in streaming on Apple TV Plus, still not sponsored. What started off as a promising, fun spy popcorn flick became a very laughable disappointment. Thumbs firmly in the middle, leaning down for me. On a scale of, well, on the I Love You 3000 scale, I'm giving it a 1380 out of 3000, which is 46%. So about the same as you.
Yeah, we're on
So
the
it's
same
like
ballpark.
so it's like you're reading for my
Yeah,
notes.
pretty much. It's like we like the same things. We like, well, except the dance scene. But other
Yeah,
than that, it's like we liked pretty much the same things, and we hated the same things.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like for the first couple of acts, I actually was averaging about a 65%, which is a fresh score. That last third, I gave it basically a 10 out of 100, only because of the Winter Soldier reference at the end. I think I was like, "Hey, Jeremy, Winter Soldier," because we had watched this together
yeah, man.
a few weeks ago. It was I enjoyed that more than I should have. I think I was just looking for anything to be
Happy about
entertained.
it during that ending. Shoot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, anything else for Argyle that we haven't mentioned?
I don't think so.
Dua Lipa, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that she died super early on, and dude, John Cena was like not in it at all, even though Eden Wild was the John Cena. I don't know, I forgot his name. In Whistle, it started with a W. Wally
Wyatt.
Wyatt. Close
Did
enough.
you say whistle?
Oh, yeah, Whistle Wally.
Oh,
See,
shoot.
Sean Tierra says 100 out of 10, the best movie of 2024. Well, it's just the beginning of the year, my friend. So,
It was probably the best movie that came out that week.
that week. Was there any
Yeah.
other good movies that came out this year so far?
Uh, I don't
Madam
know.
Web? I'm just kidding.
There you go. So, go ahead
Yeah,
and say it.
yeah, Sean Tierra also said John Cena was there, couldn't even see him. Well, maybe next week we'll get the Apex Predator. We get John Cena. I don't know.
You can't
Could
see
use more
me.
John Cena. Can't see him though.
All right, Jeremy, let's get right into our favorite segment of all 7 seasons, actually 6+ seasons. We're talking about the Guess the Rotten Tomato score. Again, we wipe the slate clean every season, and so this is really our only this is really just our second episode of the season. And so as of last week, I took the lead, a very small lead of 1-0, heading into Argyle episode. And so Jeremy, do you want to guess the Rotten Tomato score for Argyle 2024?
Yes, I am guessing exactly my score that I gave it, 52%.
Oh, interesting. I actually am guessing something similar, maybe a little bit higher. I'm guessing 48%.
Oh, okay. There you go. And here we go. I have Rotten Tomatoes pulled up. Drum roll, please. I don't have the sound effect. And
Whoa!
Argyle is 33% on Rotten
Yikes.
Tomatoes.
Huh.
Audience score of 72%. So
Oh, the audience
Ken,
score loved it.
yeah. I mean, that's pretty low for an audience score, I think.
Oh, true, true, true.
Right? Especially
Yeah,
for like a popcorn flick. Yeah, 280 reviews.
they probably hated the oil skating scene.
Yeah, dude, I don't think who could when she started doing that spinny thing.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, I don't think this movie's it.
no. It had the opportunity. It had a chance. It just did not land the plane. It crashed in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, man, in
Ugh.
very colorful Matthew Vaughn fashion. Luckily, hopefully this doesn't derail the Kingsman franchise. I want it to, you know, keep going.
I think there just needs to be better writing, I guess. Again, there were good aspects of this movie, but I digress. Well, anyway, to recap the guess the Rotten Tomatoes competition for season 7, I actually take that point. I was came out a little bit closer, even though we were both way off actually, since the Rotten Tomatoes score was rotten at 33%. So I am up 2-0 heading into next week. Speaking of next week, Jeremy, do you want to preview episode 113?
Yes, probably Ken's most anticipated episode. I wouldn't say movie, episode of this season, possibly. So, next week, we are talking about the continuation of the epic sci fi world where Paul Atreides continues his legacy to avenge his family. So bring your Dune worm popcorn buckets to our next episode because we are watching and talking about Dune Part 2.
I am I am all in on this episode just because of the variance of I guess opinions on this movie, since Jeremy absolutely hated part 1 and I thought part 1 was really good. I didn't think it was like one of the best things that ever came out. I think Dune part 1 had unbelievably high scores. I thought it was really 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 good. I thought it was good, but I understood it for what it was. It was doing a lot of heavy lifting, setting up the rest of the story in basically 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think, or whatever that runtime was for part 1. Seemed
Yeah.
longer for Jeremy though.
Yes. Felt like days. I've been here waiting 85 years. Sean also says, only watching Dune 2 for Zendaya. I mean, the plot.
Well, speaking of Sean, didn't you watch Dune Part 1 with Sean, or
He
you were
saw the
still in school?
Yeah,
With,
we
yeah,
he saw the end
yeah.
with me, and I don't know if he's watched the whole thing by himself since.
Oh,
So I'm, Sean, let me know. Did you watch the entire thing? I mean, basically, you saw the end with Zendaya, and it sounds like that's all he wanted to see. So, um, hopefully, there's more for you, man, in this next movie.
it looks like it based off of the trailers. I mean, it took 2 hours and 20 minutes or whatever it was of screen time to get to what was her name again? I forgot her name. I just
Don't ask
rewatched
me,
it.
man. It's Zendaya,
Zendaya's character. I'll brush up
Michelle
on the
Jones.
specifics. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
brush up on the specifics. And yes, like Sean mentioned, it's currently out on Netflix, but only until tomorrow. Long term, it's out on Max. Still not sponsored.
Nah, yeah, not sponsored. Definitely not.
Yeah. So, um, before we close out this episode of Argyle, Jeremy, do you want to plug this brand new format that we have going on here?
Yes, because we are on YouTube. You get to see our faces here live and in person. Just kidding, not in person, just live here on video. Where if you search up the Weekly Reel podcast, we're right here. You get snippets of part one, right, where we talk about Argyle. Then you have part two, the soup du jour, where we talk about other movie and TV related stuff. So that will be posted on there. Or you can just join us every week. Hit that bell notification to get the notifications that what movie we're going to be talking about every week.
Yeah. Well, what time will we usually have our live stream? And what day?
Yeah, it's gonna be around the Wednesday. It's gonna be on Wednesday nights for sure, but we're aiming for 7 p.m. Pacific time. So
Yes. There you go. There you
that's what we're
go.
aiming for, and we're 2 for 2 for so far.
Woo. Yeah. No. Yeah. I know. Sometimes that schedule will fluctuate. So just like Jeremy said, hit that bell to get the notifications on when we do schedule a week's live stream. Also, for our social medias for the Weekly Reel podcast, follow us on both Instagram and TikTok. To follow us on Instagram, follow us at Weekly Reel. There you'll see random clips from the main episode. We'll also put links to our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, announcements for different things. So check that out. Also, follow us on TikTok at Weekly Reel Pod. We have incorporated that. We thought of a good way to use and post regular content now on TikTok. And so today I actually posted a couple of videos on there exclusive to the TikTok. You can follow us at Weekly Reel Pod on TikTok for exclusive content. There will be exclusive content from our second part of the show on Fridays. So be on the lookout for that on Friday as well. Anything that I'm missing, Jeremy, before we close out this episode?
I want to say, if you're in the comments, we're not done with the night yet. We are going to be continuing the rest of the show, but we're going to be done talking about Argyle for now. If you have any more questions, definitely drop it in the chat, and we'll cover them on part two.
Yeah, we'll give you more opportunities to interact with us, and we have something fun for you for part two of this live stream. And so again, check out last week's episode 111 on Madam Web. See how wonderful we thought that movie was. It's now available to watch on YouTube and also available to stream on your favorite podcast apps such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, as Jeremy mentioned, check out Dune Part 2, which will be out in theaters by the time we have this live stream. So join in on the conversation. Watch that in theaters. Also, if you haven't watched Dune Part 1 yet, it's streaming now on...
Just kidding.
Don't listen to Jeremy. For the sake of the podcast, watch Dune Part 1. It'll be streaming on Max moving forward. Netflix, I think, only through tomorrow, the 29th of February, I believe. So don't quote me on that. But Max for sure. But yeah. For those that are on the live stream, stay tuned. We're just going to take a very quick break because I've drank a lot of fluids. But we'll stay tuned for part two. But for the rest of you who were here for Argyle, we'll see you next week on The Reel.